Hey team, welcome to this explainer for Module 5 of our Safety at Work 101 training. I am absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today. Look, whether you're wearing a hard hat on a hot construction site, steel-toed boots on the factory floor, or leather shoes in a nice air-conditioned corporate office, today's topic affects literally every single one of us. We are talking about stopping falls, trips, and slips. And as we go through this, I really want you to keep that spirit of Kita Jaga Kita front and center. Yes, we're looking out for our own safety, but it's also about our teammates and, of course, our families waiting for us to come home safe. All right, let's jump right in.
I want to start off with a massive reality check, straight from DOSH Malaysia. Look at this. Over 30% of all non-fatal workplace injuries in our country come from slips, trips, and falls. Over 30%. That actually makes it the single most common accident type across all Malaysian workplaces. Think about that for a second. It outranks heavy machinery accidents, it outranks chemical spills. It's the everyday stuff that's getting us.
And to put that percentage into real, human terms, it is staggering. It translates to over 12,000 non-fatal slip, trip, and fall injuries recorded in 2022 alone. That's 12,000 of our fellow workers who woke up, grabbed their morning kopi, headed to work, and ended up in a clinic or a hospital bed. It's a huge wake-up call that this hazard is literally everywhere. So, to protect ourselves, we really need to understand what we're up against. Here's our agenda for part 1 today. We'll be looking at 1. The Malaysian STF reality, 2. Slips, trips, and falls, 3. Real Malaysian incidents, 4. The true cost to families, 5. Everyday hazards, and 6. The law and our duty. All right, moving into Section 1, the Malaysian STF reality. And right into Section 2, slips, trips, and falls. Let's break down the actual mechanics of these incidents. You know, people use these words interchangeably all the time, but they are very different things. First up is the slip, or tergelincir. A slip happens simply because there's a sudden loss of traction. Think of a car tire spinning out in the mud. There's just not enough friction between your shoe and the walking surface, so your foot slides out completely unexpectedly, your center of gravity drops, and boom, you lose your balance. So what steals that friction? Well, we see these culprits locally all the time. Wet floors right after mopping, especially those highly polished marble floors in commercial buildings. Oily or greasy surfaces in factory kitchens. Even just the mud and rainwater we track inside during our heavy monsoon downpours. Wearing smooth-soled shoes in these conditions, totally a recipe for disaster. Next up is the trip, or tersandung. This is kind of the exact opposite of a slip. Instead of losing traction, a trip happens when your foot gets too much sudden traction because it physically catches on an object or an uneven surface. Your lower body stops dead in its tracks, but your upper body momentum keeps going, forcefully throwing you forward. And these trips usually happen because of things we walk past and just ignore every single day. You know exactly what I'm talking about. That one loose extension cord snaking across the office carpet, uneven floor tiles, poorly lit stairwells, or dark storage corridors where you just can't see the floor. Or out on construction sites, scaffolding boards with dangerous uneven gaps. Finally, we have the fall, or jatuh. This is a total loss of balance where you drop to a lower level. Now, this could mean falling flat on the same floor you're standing on, or falling from a height, like slipping off a ladder or an unprotected edge. And I really have to emphasize this. According to CIDB statistics, falls from height are actually the leading cause of fatal construction accidents in Malaysia. It is absolutely critical we take this seriously.
Let's move to Section 3, Real Malaysian Incidents.
It is super easy to just look at statistics on a screen, but we need to talk about real, local cases to truly grasp the consequences. Let's look at 2022. A production operator at a food processing factory in Shah Alam, Selangor, slipped on a wet floor near her machine. There was a spillage and nobody cleaned it up. She fell hard, fracturing her hip. Because of that one ignored puddle, she couldn't work for 11 straight months. And even with her SOCSO claim approved, her family's income took a massive hit during her recovery.
So, the absolute rule here is this. Spills must be cleaned up immediately. No waiting around. Wet floor signs need to go up instantly, and anti-slip mats must be installed near wet machinery areas. That's simple. 5-minute procedure is exactly how that tragedy in Selangor could have been 100% prevented.
Here's another devastating reality check. Down in Johor Bahru in 2021, a worker on a construction site fell 4 meters from a scaffolding platform. Why? Because the platform was missing a complete guardrail system. He suffered a fractured spine and will never fully recover his mobility. Yes, the main contractor was slapped with a 50,000 ringgit fine under OSHA 1994, but a fine doesn't give a man his life back.
The takeaway here is non-negotiable. All scaffolding above 2 meters must have full guardrails. That means top rail, mid-rail, and toe board, period. And all workers up there must be wearing safety harnesses with lanyards clipped to a secure anchor point. We absolutely cannot compromise when it comes to fall protection.
And hey, if you're sitting there thinking this only happens on sites or factory floors, look at this 2020 case from an office right in KL. An accounts executive walked into the pantry after the morning cleaning. Whoever mopped forgot to put out the wet floor sign. She slipped, went down hard, and hit her head on the kitchen counter, needing stitches. The employer even failed to report the incident to DOSH and got fined. Office environments have very real, very serious risks too.
Moving right along to Section 4, the true cost to families. This brings us to probably the most crucial part of this explainer, how these injuries impact the people waiting for us at home. Let's talk Malaysian family financial realities. The average medical cost for a serious fall here is between 8,000 and 45,000 ringgit. Now, while SOCSO does provide a temporary disability benefit, it generally only covers about 80% of your daily wage. That creates a very scary 20% gap for your family. Think about it. What does that 20% usually pay for? Your housing loan, your car loan, your kids' school fees. This wage gap often forces families into extreme stress, sometimes even leading to EPF hardship withdrawals just to survive. When an accident happens, your whole family carries the burden.
Okay, Section 5, everyday hazards around us.
Knowing the stakes, let's zoom in on our specific working environments. We have some unique challenges here in Malaysia. We love our polished marble and ceramic tiles in buildings, but man, they turn into literal ice skating rinks when wet. We've got those heavy monsoon rains that make smooth outdoor concrete incredibly slick. In our plantation sectors, we're dealing with greasy palm oil on mill floors that creates this super dangerous invisible film. And during the dry season on construction sites, a layer of fine concrete dust acts exactly like thousands of tiny ball bearings under your boots. The local weather and our specific industries play a huge role in these hazards.
Finally, Section 6, the law and our duty. We've talked about the mechanics and the human costs, but we also need to talk about the law. Under the Occupational Safety and Health Act, or OSHA, 1994, employers have strict legal obligations. Section 15 mandates providing a safe working environment overall, while Section 29 specifically requires maintaining safe floors, walkways, and access points. Failing this can result in heavy fines up to 50,000 ringgit or even imprisonment under Section 31. But honestly, beyond the legal stuff, we have a cultural duty. We need to practice Gotong Royong and Tolong Menolong in our safety culture. We look out for each other. If you see a spill, don't just walk past it saying it's not your job. Fix it, flag it, or report it.
So we've seen the harsh reality. We know exactly why these accidents happen, from losing friction to unguarded edges, and we deeply understand the heavy financial and emotional toll they take on our families. But here is the big question. Now that we understand the true cost, how do we stop these falls before they ever happen? What can you and I actually do on the floor tomorrow morning to make a real difference? Well, that is exactly what we are going to unpack in Part 2. We'll give you the exact practical steps you can take starting today to protect yourself and your loved ones. Thank you so much for your focus today. Stay safe out there, and I will see you in Part 2.
Welcome back to Part 2 of our Workplace Safety Training for Module 5. In Part 1, we covered the background and the real-world context of slips, trips, and falls. Well, today, we're skipping the theory and jumping straight into the hands-on stuff. We're looking at the exact daily actions we're going to implement right here on the floor at Capital Kirana to make sure every single one of us goes home safely. We've got some absolutely crucial ground to cover, so let's hit the ground running.
All right, Section 1, 5S System and Practical Prevention.
So you're probably already familiar with the 5S methodology, right? It's the exact same system that top Malaysian manufacturing plants like Proton, Perodua, and Panasonic use to crush hazards before they even become a threat. But what's really cool is how perfectly it maps directly to our physical safety. It's not just about keeping a tidy workspace, it's a hardcore hazard reduction system. First up is SORT, or SISIH. Basically, if you don't need it today, get it out of the way. Excess materials are literally just trip hazards waiting to catch you out. Next is Set and Order, or SUSUN. This is where we manage our cables with trays or clips and use shadow boards for tools so we aren't leaving junk in the walkways. Then comes SHINE, or SAPU, which is all about demanding immediate spill cleanup.
And finally, standardize and sustain, Siragam and Sentiasa. These are what build those actions into our permanent daily safety habits.
In the real world, building those habits means taking immediate action. Please, do not wait for a scheduled cleaning. If you spot a spill, handle it right then and there, or at the very least, throw down a wet floor sign immediately. And proper drainage, that's absolutely critical for us. Blocked drains are the #1 culprit for floor flooding in our facilities. Handling these practical, everyday controls, like clearing out drains, especially when monsoon season hits, and making sure cables never ever cross our walkways, that is your first line of defense.
Now take a look at this number, 150. Poor lighting is a massive, massive contributor to people tripping and falling. Under Malaysian standard MS 1525, 150 lux is the absolute minimum lighting requirement for office walkways and corridors. For staircases, it's 100 lux, and it needs to be evenly lit with 0 dark spots. Why? Because a dark staircase is literally just a trip waiting to happen. So if you notice a blown bulb or a dark spot, you need to report it.
Moving right along to Section 2, Safety Footwear and Walking Practices.
Let's talk about how we physically move around the site, starting from the ground up with your personal protective equipment. This table breaks down exactly what Serum-approved footwear you've got to have on depending on your zone, which is legally required by OSHA 1994. For general factory and construction, you absolutely need steel toe caps and anti-slip soles. Working in a wet environment, you've got to have chemical-resistant boots. Doing electrical work, electrical hazard-rated insulated soles are mandatory, no exceptions. You're also going to see anti-slip ratings like SRA, SRB, or SRC on your boots. SRC is the highest rating, meaning it's been tested on both soapy ceramic tiles and oily steel. But hey, remember our hierarchy of controls. Your PPE is your absolute last resort, right? We always want to eliminate or engineer out the hazard before relying on our boots.
Because let's be real, even with the best SRC-rated anti-slip boots money can buy, you still have to follow some non-negotiable walking practices to keep your balance. If you're climbing anything, always maintain 3 points of contact. That's 2 hands in 1 foot or 2 feet in 1 hand. Never carry items that block your line of sight. I mean, if you can't see your feet, you can't see what you're about to trip over. And I know it sounds super simple, but always use the handrails on staircases. Your boots can only do so much. Your own behavior has to do the rest.
Okay, Section 3, safe working at height.
Now we're shifting our focus upwards, and when we do that, DOSH guidelines get very strict, 1.8 meters. I really need you to burn this number into your memory. Under DOSH Malaysia, 1.8 meters is the exact height where formal fall protection, like tying off with a safety harness to a solid anchor point or putting up a guardrail system, becomes a mandatory legal requirement. Any work at or above 1.8 meters demands engineered fall protection, period.
And when you're using a ladder to reach those heights, there are rules. You've got to secure that ladder at both the top and the bottom, usually by having a buddy foot it for you. Never set up on an unstable surface, and you must use the 4-to-1 ratio. So for every 4 meters you go up, the base needs to be 1 meter out. You know, gravity is literally always working against us up there, so the golden rule is this: keep your belt buckle between the ladder stiles at all times. If you try to overreach and that buckle goes outside the stiles, the center of gravity shifts and that ladder is going down with you on it.
For the folks using scaffolding, it is legally required that a competent person, someone who actually holds a certificate, inspects it before you climb up. And these specific measurements, they are literally what stands between you and a fatal drop. Guardrails have to be set between 900 and 1150 millimeters high. Mid-rails go at exactly 450 millimeters. And toe boards, sometimes called kickboards, have to be at least 150 millimeters high. Those toe boards are crucial because they're what stops a dropped wrench from falling on your buddy's head down below.
All right, Section 4, your duty to report hazards.
Look, fixing things yourself when it's safe to do so, like taping down a loose cable, is awesome. But do not just assume somebody else is going to fix that loose carpet, or that broken handrail, or a blocked drain. Reporting it immediately is your direct legal duty under OSHA 1994. It's not a suggestion, it's mandatory. And if you have a near miss, report it. A near miss today is a serious injury tomorrow. Think about it. Your quick report today could literally be the thing that saves a colleague's life next week.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Practice Questions and Final Assessment.
Let's do a quick mental check to prime you for your mandatory assessment. Here is your first sample question. Think back to the start of this explainer. When we face a hazard, what step comes absolutely first, and what is our absolute last resort? Take a second to picture the steps.
You got it. We always start with elimination, getting rid of the hazard entirely.
Then substitution, like swapping out smooth tiles for textured ones. Then engineering controls, like building in proper drainage. Then administrative controls, like putting out wet floor signs. And finally, making personal protective equipment, our boots, our absolute final backup. Remember, PPE is always the last resort.
Question 2. I made a really big deal about this number a few minutes ago because it's a critical legal threshold. What's the exact height?
1.8 meters. Anything at 1.8 meters or higher demands a guardrail system or a safety harness. No gray areas for sure.
Okay, last practice question. This is a core part of our manufacturing routine here in Malaysia. We've got sisi, susun, and then sapu. What exactly does sapu stand for in practice?
Sapu means shine, but for us, sapu isn't just about making things look pretty or waiting around for the cleaners. It's about aggressively taking out the root causes of slips the absolute second they happen. Clean spills instantly, inspect those floors, and keep them dry.
Okay, logistics time. You've got a mandatory written assessment immediately after this explainer. It's 10 multiple choice questions, and you've got 15 minutes to knock it out. You need a 70% to pass, so that's 7 out of 10 correct. If you happen to score below 70, no stress. You'll just review this module again and resit the test on a different day. Keep in mind, all your results are legally recorded in your personal OSH training file, exactly as OSH 1994 requires.
But hey, at the end of the day, passing a test is literally just paperwork. What really matters is our core philosophy out there on the floor. Jaga diri, jaga rakan sakaja. Look after yourself and look after each other. Every single person working here deserves to go home safely at the end of every shift. Slips, trips, and falls are 100% preventable if we just use the right controls and actually look out for one another. Work safe, stay safe, protect each other. That's the commitment we make at Capital Kirana. So as you head into your assessment and then back out onto the floor, are you ready to take on that responsibility?